Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, Marcus?
Doing good, doing good. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
Doing fine. We're back at it again.
Back at it again. Back at it again. It was a good day though. We visited the great Vicksburg today. Had a great meeting, I think so.
Did you? What
Yes,
was the
sir.
purpose of the meeting?
Just some economic development that's going to be going on over in the city of Vicksburg coming up, and Energy and I think it was TIC
See,
had a outreach meeting and felt, yeah, like the old days, back on the pavement, meeting and networking and letting folks know about what we do and what we've done.
Marcus, we've gone to so many outreach meetings
Yes,
over
Lord.
the years until we could give our own outreach meeting.
Absolutely,
You
we sure
know,
can.
but it was good to. I also attended that meeting. I didn't see you there.
Yeah, I was running a little late.
Okay, but I got an opportunity to speak to the folk and as well, and so we never give up, we never quit. And so if they have an outreach meeting, even though if you've been to a million of them, you got to go to one more because that one
That's right.
could be the difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. Got a chance to after the meeting had lunch with a friend Charles Davis. Charles was running a little late, but after we ate and was going to our car, we met General Creer in the parking lot. Hadn't seen him in a while, and man, I tell you, we had a very refreshing conversation. And he was basically talking about the same things that we've been talking about. How we gotta figure out how to move the needle on, African Americans getting opportunities in this state.
Marcus, and to our listening and viewing audiences out there, this is economically empowering our community. And we come to you each and every Tuesday at 5:30 to discuss and talk about ways and means to improve the quality of life in the African American business community. Now, a lot of other shows focus on health and sports and related issues, but Marcus and I have invested our time, our money, and our lives into business. And it's one of the best things that you're ever going to do. There are some highs and some lows, Marcus, but the journey in itself is fabulous.
It's been a good one.
It's been a good
It's
one.
been a good one.
You've seen a few things.
Oh, I sure have.
And so if you're watching us on Facebook, then share this program with your friends and families. If you're watching us on YouTube, then share the program as well. Hit the notification button so that you won't miss any of these important shows. Subscribe to our channel. It's very important that you do that. Now, Marcus, let's get right into it. Why do you feel the need for us to have this podcast show? What is it that's driving you?
What's really driving me is that we're able to have a show where we can have real conversations. We can peel back the layers and talk real truth about things that are going on in our city and things that we need to do to move the needle and try to improve where we are in this city, in this state. When you look at the statistics and the numbers, again, the math ain't math. Less than 80% African American city. African Americans are being afforded right now probably less than 5% of the opportunities here in the city, on a approximately $400 million budget or close to it. 1.3 billion dollar budget with MDOT in the state, and I think we get less than 2% on that. Hines County, it's probably 5% as well, and those numbers just don't mix with me at all. We should be afforded more opportunities, and we got to understand that when we get those opportunities, we're able to help build our communities. If you really sat back and really looked at the crime and everything that's going on, people are not being afforded opportunities, and they're trying to survive and trying to find ways to put food on their table. And that's not to make an excuse for crime, but that's the reality.
Marcus, the number one responsibility of an elected official is to try to build a strong business class in their city or in their county or in their state. It's critically important that they understand that the development and the creation and the nurturing of a strong business class is what's going to make your town or your city great.
Absolutely.
And so when you say that we get less than 2%, say, of MDOT contracts and less than 10% at the city of Jackson and less than that at Hinds County and JPS, and then we go on to the Airport Authority and the state of Mississippi, we just don't receive opportunities to do well and build a strong business class and to build a strong middle class in the African American community.
Right. You know, when I spoke with General Creer earlier today, you know, General used to be over something at the Corps of Engineers, I think, and he said during that time, Hurricane Katrina was one of his big deals, and they had 4 disaster cleanup projects that were like 500 million a piece. And, you know, he said after that, he started really, you know, preaching that we need to break these projects down so some of our people can get them. And that's the same attitude I had when I was mayor of Edwards. I kind of piggyback off of when Mayor Johnson was in office and the EBO office was there. And, you know, Socrates, just to break it down, being in an African-American city and county, everything comes out of those offices some black folks should have a piece of. I can't be any more simpler than that.
It should be mandatory. You mentioned Mayor Johnson. Any contract that was over $15 million required a mandatory joint venture. Mandatory. That was policy. And so Maynard Jackson in Atlanta said any contracts coming out of the Atlanta airport was going to have a 25% minority partnership related to it.
Exactly.
So it just makes good public policy. And we talk about these guys a lot. We talk about Harold Washington. We talk about Mayor Johnson. We talk about Maynard Jackson, because these guys understood it. And they put their foot down as to what was going to happen in their cities as it related to their constituents.
And they build their cities that way.
And they build their cities. I know the rap on Mayor Johnson used to be that he needs to put his toolbox down because he's building everything. Right. And one day, the Jackson Convention Center should be named after Mayor Harvey Johnson.
I agree.
He fought extremely hard to bring that facility into Jackson.
Well, I am definitely a living witness. I can say that every opportunity that came out of the city of Jackson under Mayor Johnson's leadership, he sat back, he listened at the plan, the execution, and all of that. And his one line at the end of all the meetings and conversations, who did y'all have local? He didn't say black. He said, who did y'all have local on this project? And if you didn't say the right thing as to you know, who you had been working with or some people that you've been dealing with, he would tell you quickly, go back, figure it out, and y'all come back to see me. And a lot of us got opportunities like that. I never forget Western Plaza. Those are in the listening audience, maybe you remember that big cactus sign that used to be at Western Plaza. And the owners of that mall came in from Texas. And, you know, they knew before they got here how he did business. And they asked the question, well, Mayor, who are some of the companies that you know, recommend we talk to? And I was one of them. And I went and got with those folks. And that project was about a $450,000 renovation, established a solid relationship with Sterling Properties at that time. And we left Western Plaza and went from that project to Meadowbrook. That's how it's supposed to go.
That's how it's supposed to go. And so to our viewers out there is nothing more important than having a leader to say that you ought to talk to this individual or these people because they represent the best of Jackson and they have the capacity and they can help you. Don't get this twisted with bribery and kickbacks and all of
Right.
that foolishness. That's not the way business is done. But favor is not always fair. And so we've always said that in politics, to the victor goes the spoils. That works that way in every community. But when it starts to happen in the African American community, then all hell breaks loose and everybody is guilty of some criminal activity. That's not what's going on in Jackson. And so under Mayor Johnson, there was no scandal. One thing I said about President Barack Obama, the thing that made me most proud of him is that there was no scandal in the White House at all.
That's right. That's
None
right.
whatsoever. There was no Bill Clinton activity. There was no scandal associated with Barack. And the same thing applied to Harvey Johnson. There was absolutely no scandals associated with the mayor of Jackson, Harvey Johnson, under his term. And he made it clear that his goal was to build a strong business class.
You know, and that really concerns me, Socrates. Why is it that if you're successful in this city, people automatically think that you've done something wrong to become successful? You know, and you know, but no one knows those nights we were up all night
Oh,
working. You know, I started out with a pickup truck and a ladder.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
a pickup truck and a ladder, and did small jobs until we were able to build our capacity. And you know, our resume consists of some real projects that we completed. And you know, I've experienced the stigma for a long time, but I got smart back in I think it was maybe 2012, 2013. I started putting loud orange and green shirts on the backs of my people with Mac and big writing, because everybody was thinking that, you know, we were a pass through,
Right.
you know, and and let me just say something on that behalf. When a minority business first starts out, you got to learn the process first. When I got the sludge project down at the wastewater plant, the first couple of years, all we basically did was paperwork until we learned the process. After that second year, I had Hemp Hill as my sub at that time, and I went to Hemp Hill and I told him, I said, now it's time for me to change this, because I got to put some people to work in my community. And once we learned that process, we started hiring people, but that doesn't mean we were passed through.
No,
You know?
no. And let's explain to the audience what is a pass through.
Well, in my definition, pass through is when you get a project and you really don't know how to do it, and you get somebody who knows how to do it, and you pass that project, you do that project through passing it through to them. That's my definition of it.
Okay. So when we have like project managers, now we talk about this all the time, that a project manager doesn't physically build anything,
Right.
but they oversee the project.
Right.
They handle the paperwork associated with it, and they represent the owner. And so they are project managers. Even when we got a disaster, like in debris pickup, there are monitors out there.
That's right.
That's monitoring the activities of the contractor. And African Americans can monitor as well as anybody in the world.
Exactly.
And these are not bidded contracts most of the times. These are professional services contracts where many people say they are beauty contests, and the political body gets to choose who they want to perform that service.
That's right.
Well, it would stand to reason, Marcus, that if you had an opportunity to award a project management contract or a monitoring contract, you would look first in your own community. So when I see companies that are out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or out of Kansas, or out of Utah, in Jackson, I first wonder were there not any competent African-American owned business, and I know you say local businesses, were there no competent business in here to provide that service? And if there was not any, then the plan ought to be, well, before I leave office, we're going to create some.
Right, right. We Mr. Ted Hennepin is from Virginia.
Wow.
He's a civil engineer. We have a plethora of engineers in the state of Mississippi. We have a long list of water operators in the state of Mississippi. Why did we have to go to Virginia to get someone? And that's the thing that I really, I preach out here until I'm almost blue in the face. It's not about the two individuals up here sitting at this table. It's about when you look at all different careers in the city of Jackson, everybody is getting shortchanged. Everybody.
And that's because we fight with one another and we turn on one another. And we think that it's not, see where there's high poverty, there's high crime. Not only in street and gunfights activities that we see on the 6 o'clock news, but Mississippi was listed as the most corrupt state in the nation because it was the poorest state in the nation, and there's a correlation there. And so we had tremendous scandals at the highest level in our statement. We go back to the Department of Corrections scandal when Chris Epps was the leader over there at MDOC. And we had tremendous challenges with that. Then we had the welfare scandal that happened here not long ago, where all kinds of solid, established white people were caught up in scandals and charged with corruption. And so it happens at the highest level. But what you're going to see on the 6 o'clock news is you're going to see a Black person that got $50,000 or $10, or they did something wrong. I remember the mayor in Terry, they busted him at the airport over nothing.
And if I'm not mistaken, he got about 42 years on a $1,200 charge on the American Express or something like that.
Something crazy.
Right. You know, I guess I grew up at an early age. I grew up too fast. Let me say that, because I got a chance to see how Jackson really operated with the business people in this city. It was understood. You needed insurance. You heard Richard Porter's name. Call Porter's Insurance. Call Matt Thomas. You know, if you needed, if the ladies wanted their hair done, go to the Chic, all the Hollywood stylists over there at the beauty salon. You know, I got a chance to see businesses supporting each other. You know, Black businesses didn't have to wonder about credit scores and whether or not a banker help them. Go see Thad Bridges. See, I grew up early. I grew up at a young age. I got a chance to see that, but I think that is what has caused me to get on the front line and stomp like I do, Sock, because I know how this should be working. I know.
And you see it working in other cities. When I'm in Brandon and I look at the growth of that city, when I'm in Flowood, and Mayor Garrett Rhodes, a personal friend of mine, is retired now. But when I look at how they build those cities, Marcus, they build those cities by building a business class in the midst of that. And so companies like Hemp Hill Construction Company get stronger. And wherever you go now, you will see their equipment on the highways in Jackson and Flowood and anywhere else here. And we have companies like Yates Construction Company, which is one of the largest construction companies in the world, now with offices in every state almost. And those companies came out of Mississippi.
I tell you another thing that I think we both can attest to publicly with this listening audience. You know, of course, there's no secret. Hemp Hill and I, we had some stumbling blocks, but we had good relationship. But one thing I can say about these companies here in Jackson, in Mississippi, if the leader plays the right music, everybody will dance to it. And what I mean by that is these big companies, these Caucasian companies, if you play the right music, they're going to come to the table and do business. And I know you know what I'm talking about, because you could name off some of the big companies that you had solid relationships with. And, even like I said, we had some bumps and bruises. Socrates, I will tell you publicly, I still have respect for him because he signed on a $20 million bond with me.
Yeah.
That says a lot. That says a lot. But what I also like about that is this is how you build a strong business base in Jackson, when the big fish can come with the little fish, and eventually the little fish turn out to be a big bass.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
And
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be a stepping stone, a process to build a business with greater capacity. You can't come into first generation business with all of the capacity that you need and all of the checkpoints that you need in the first generation. That's not going to happen. You're going to have some bruises, and you're going to have some bumps, and you're going to fail. And the key thing about failing is each time you do that, you learn what does not work. So the key to it is to get yourself up, get back in the game, understand what you did wrong, and let's go at it again. You see, to the viewers out there, in America, we don't have a debtor's prison because we encourage entrepreneurs. Now, we don't do it in Jackson, but in America, we encourage entrepreneurs to try, to create jobs, to create opportunities for Americans. It's not government's responsibility to create jobs. Government's responsibility is to create businesses, and businesses create jobs for the citizens in that community. That is the process. It always has been the process, and it always will be. So what we got to do is we got to say Jackson government, Hinds County, JPS, Airport Authority, you have an obligation and a responsibility to follow the road model that is being used in European countries all over the world. It's the same deal. And so when we can stand up to it and say that I'm not ashamed to say that I'm here to support Black businesses. I'm not ashamed to support local businesses. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take inventory of all of the opportunities that I control, and I'm going to make sure that my constituents and the people in my community get an opportunity to do this work. I mean, that's the number one pillar that you should stand on in your platform.
And you said you mentioned last show when I said it's not about black and white, and right now it's not. I agree with you. It's about black and black.
It's black and black.
Because if we can just get the Black leadership to understand that there's some little things that you can do to make this thing better. And you just called off the top entities around here. And if I'm not mistaken, every last one of them is ran by Black leadership. If you get the attitude to understand, sit down and take the extra time and break these projects down for African-American businesses to be able to reach and grab them, that will make a huge change in this city. There's some small, and I have to also admit that, I do think that when it comes to African-American cities such as Jackson and some of the small towns, we don't get our fair share of the purse that comes out of the state. But let me say this: the other side to that too is, as it relates to black and black, there's some things that we got to do to make ourselves look better than what we do. I'll give you a prime example. From I-55, from the Woodrow Wilson exit, I-55 to the State Street exit, you got the largest hospitals in the state of Mississippi. The Black leadership in the city of Jackson and Hinds County should have come together a long time ago and collaborated and gotten that strip of Woodrow Wilson paid. To me, you're not complimenting the hospitals by leaving that street, that little strip right there like that. That's the interest coming in off the highway. people coming to the hospital, pave that street, beautiful landscape that. And I guarantee you, people up at the state and federal government will look at that and say, at least they're taking the little coins they got and they're trying. You go on down a little further to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. You got 3 sections that's been out for 10 years. If I was KFC, I'll be moving out too, because you all are not even considered enough to come fix those little pieces on the bridge. But guess what? Nothing's going to happen until somebody fall off there and get killed. It's the little bitty things like that, Socrates, that the higher ups are looking at and saying, well, hey, if they can't manage the pennies to get little stuff done, can we trust them with the big money?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. And I think it's a cop out in many times because we have to say something in order to justify our withholding funds from a city. And chocolate cities all over America suffer with the same things. And so, yeah, we got to demonstrate that we are good stewards of those things that we have under our control. And one way about being a good steward now is to build a strong business class in your community that develops the capacity to fix the things that you're talking about. If you see that you got a problem here, then you develop programs, policies, procedures, rules, and regulations designed to intentionally address those issues. And so we have to do that. Marcus, we're getting close to the midway point of our show today, so we're going to break for a commercial. We have new engineers in the studio today, so I trust that they are keeping up with us. And
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.DOT grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using Socrates Garrett ENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
And we're back. Once again, good evening, and you're watching Economically Empowering Our Communities. And Mr. Garrett, we're having a very interesting conversation today.
We always do, right. Marcus, because your passion comes through.
I try to hold it in, but sometimes it's just, man, I tell you, it comes out of my pores because I really want to see. I really want to see us get to where we're supposed to be.
Marcus, it's going to take people like you that are willing to sit up here, call it like it is. As old Charles Tisdale say, well, sometimes it's going to comfort and sometimes it's going to pinch. But somebody has got to call it like it is. And for those who say that you got to be quiet, that you're never going to get anything until you learn to shut up, to them, you say you wasn't getting anything when you were quiet.
And I just, honestly, I wasn't cut from that cloth, and I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to shut my mouth when I know something is not right. And I'm seeing that the things that we're seeing in this city, such as crime and all of this stuff, it's a deeper problem. It's a deeper problem than what we're really talking about publicly. These young men out here, you know, and when you see them on the news when they've gotten in trouble, I see the agony on their face. I see from experimenting and mentoring all of these with these kids, I see it, the agony on their faces saying, nobody showed us this, the better another side. Nobody showed us love or none of that kind of stuff. And so these are the type of things we got to do in order to be able to help these kids. I had a young man call me day before yesterday. He played on my AAU team. Was blessed to played in NFL a couple of years, and he texted me and he said, "Pops," he said, I wanna become a contractor." And so I did my job and told him, well, first of all, I want you to call State Board of Contractors, tell them to send you the package so you can become a certified contractor. Bo Brown used to always say in the insurance business, you got to stay suited up. You got to get suited up and you got to stay suited up, because once you get those credentials, that opens a lot of doors for you, And so, these are the things that we got to continue to teach our young people and show them that there is another way, and there's a prosperous and profitable way, other than the streets.
Marcus, they're watching. The children are watching. They see you. They saw you when you were running for mayor. They saw that bus, the quality of it. They see how you do things. They see how you dress. They see how you carry yourself. You cannot be what you have not seen. You just cannot be something that you've never been exposed to. And the kids in our communities are not exposed to Black role models.
And I am what I am because I saw you all. You're absolutely right. It trickled down.
It trickles down.
It trickles down.
And so when you take interest in these kids and you take them on your basketball trips and tournaments and you invest in them and you hire them and you put Mac on the back in bright orange shirts, it means something to them.
That's right.
They become proud. I remember as a boy how proud I was to sit around the radio and listen to Joe Louis in a boxing match. How proud I was of Jackie Robinson when he stole home. See, these are memories. These are things that are part of my DNA, of who I am and how I do what I do and how I will act under pressure. And so if we don't show these kids a better way and invest in them with jobs, not as much giving them money. I hate to see our children out on these corners with these baskets collecting money. I just don't think that's the way to train them.
Right.
I think we need to have year-long jobs programs, where after-school programs where our kids are being hired and they're being trained to do something productive. It's grass cutting season. Everybody can run a lawnmower and a weed eater. Now is the time to make some money doing that. And so, Marcus, it's important that you continue to demonstrate and show our kids. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to continue to do something that out there. I'm not going to quit on this, because this gives me great pleasure, quite frankly. And so we got to show them that there's another way other than a drug dealer on the corner.
A lot of people ask me, if since you've been so successful on the business side, why are you, trying to get in politics or trying to stay in politics? And, I have definitely been blessed on the business side, and I love being a businessman. But somebody has got to get on the other side to create the right blueprint, because in order for us to do the things that you just finished talking about, as far as teaching these children, the skill level of how to do different things, to help finance these campaigns so we can get the right people in these seats. All of that takes us being afforded opportunities, and we got to have people on the other side with the mind frame of, just because it's a $10 million project, that does not mean you got to bid it out as a $10 million project. And I have made a commitment since I've been in politics that, yeah, if you're under my leadership, we're going to break it down so some Black folks can get some of these opportunities.
Well, let's talk about breaking it down for a minute. And so many of our viewers out there don't understand how government works. So let's talk about it for just a minute. Under state law, any project, I believe, under $50,000, 75,000. They raised it to 25.
Yes, sir.
Used to be 50.
Mm-hmm.
Any project under $75,000 requires 3 telephone calls. Now, hear me clearly. It doesn't say you're going to bid it. It doesn't say you got to advertise it. It says that you should make 3 telephone calls and get a price.
3 quotes.
3 quotes.
3 quotes.
Now, Marcus, do they tell you who to call?
No.
So it stands to reason then, if I'm running a political entity, and a political entity is anything that receives taxpayers' money, that if I understand that any purchases that I have under $75,000 for ballpoint pens, toilet paper, etc., I'm going to call 3 of my constituents, 3 members in the African-American community. And I'm going to say, we'd like to get a quote from 3 of y'all on toilet paper. Marcus, do you know what would happen if all elected officials would just adhere to that?
Yes, sir.
We would have trucks running. People would be delivering toilet paper. They would be delivering floor wax. They would be doing all kinds of things, Marcus.
Yeah, all they got to do is just break it down.
3 telephone quotes. Now, I'm not making the law. These are rules and regulations. A friend of mine say, these are the policies and procedures. And so that's all you have to do. Now, when you leave there, there's a category called professional services contract. Now, a professional service contract, Marcus, is you request proposals. It's
RFP.
not a bid. You said it's a what now?
RFP.
It's a request for a proposal. That means you submit your proposal. Price being a part of it, but not the only consideration.
And sometimes say RFQ too.
We'll get to that one.
Okay.
So a request for a proposal, which means that you send out an invite for people to give you a proposal on doing X, Y, and Z. Now, it's not bid. When the proposals come in, you evaluate them and you select the one that's best, and sometimes they say lowest and best for your city or your county.
And you know, let me pause right there before you. We need to make sure leaders in these positions understand just because it's the lowest doesn't mean it's the best. Just because it's the lowest does not mean you got to go with that one. The best is not always the lowest.
It's not always the lowest. And so you have discretion.
That's right.
You are able to weigh those proposals in a way that you publicize initially. And then you weigh them, and so much of it could be 25% could be on price, 25% could be on experience, 25% gonna be on past history and performance, 25% could be minority participation and diversity and inclusion. And so you weigh those things, and then you make a decision on what's best for your city and your county. That's an RFP. Now, Marcus, you mentioned there's a thing called an RFQ.
Right, request for quotes.
It's just a request for quotes.
Right.
You don't even have to submit a proposal. You submit your quote and they go through and they evaluate them and they make a decision.
And then also, if we break it down a little even smaller. I think under, is it 5,000 or 10,000? They don't even have to make 3 phone calls.
Or they just make one.
They just make one. And even if they just did that,
it would make such a difference.
It will make a difference. The whole point that we're trying to make is that local businesses should be thriving, and just because we're not getting the big purses every time does not mean we can't capitalize on what's there. You know, the small things matter until the big. You know, if somebody use baseball terms, the RBIs matter until you hit the home run.
You're probably not going to win if nobody's on base.
Exactly.
Look,
exactly.
So Michael, let's continue. So then we get into a situation where we get all of the action on construction projects. Now, these have to be advertised and bid. They're not professional service. They're not under the quote system. They have to be advertised and bid. And then you get the lowest and the best. This is what Marcus is saying on construction projects. Let's unbundle them. Let's make them smaller. So less bonding is required. So smaller firms can participate. Not just small Black firms, small white firms.
Exactly.
Small local firms. If you unbundle it, then the giants in the industry won't dominate it as much.
And I tell you another thing that we used to do around here that we don't do. The leaders, folks in leadership, used to make sure they had, or they orchestrated meetings or whatever, where the big fish and the little fish were in the same room. And all you had to do was be sharp enough to network and not be afraid to talk to these companies, put something in their hand to let them know that you're not just a fly-by-night business. You've put your business together, you know, whether that's with brochures or portfolios, but the leader, the mayor or supervisor, whoever, they had meetings where they pulled everybody in the room, because again, like I said, the leaders, if you look at it from a DJ standpoint, everybody is going to dance to whatever music that leader plays. If he plays Sawgrass, it's how we going to dance. He play hip hop, we going to juke. But we gotta start doing those type of things, you know, getting all of us in one room, forecasting, and let us know what's coming down the pipeline so we can prepare for it. You know, and also for companies to be able to let other companies know, hey, this person here, this is Mr. Davis. He's a heck of a concrete finisher guy. So Mr. Davis doesn't have all the credentials that the big company has, but guess what? Mr. Davis can run circles around this big company with the talent he has. See, that's another thing a lot of people in this city don't understand. When you see these big projects, the big companies get the jobs because of their credentials. But if you really get down on the ground and really get, you know, around that project, you'll see a lot of those folks that's doing the work of Black folks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. And so we have to start to educate our elected officials as to what is expected and what is required to build a strong business class, to elevate your community, to bring rooftops into your city, to change the status where we're not the poorest of the poor anymore, but we're middle class and above. Wouldn't that be, if we could convert South Jackson into a middle class community, it would look more like Fondren.
So what you're basically saying is we're gonna give a few classes and a few notes before we start giving these grade cards.
We're definitely going to do that at the end of the quarter. Yeah. Don't you get your report card at the end of the quarter? Now, I didn't always bring my report card home, Marcus, because I know that if it was a C on there,
oh man,
I knew what was
going to happen. At the house.
So I hid it a lot of times, and Mama would say, "Where's your report card, Socrates?" Oh, they didn't give it to me yet. Next thing I know, she was at the school.
True story. My mom my mom was doing parent teacher conferences when I was in college. My mom's name is Shirley. We call her Shirley May. Shirley May used to drive to Baton Rouge parent teacher conference with the professors
In college.
in college.
I hear you.
But you know what?
What?
I thank her to this day for doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Keeping her foot on my neck, it made me what I am today, and I really appreciate that.
Wow. So let's continue, Marcus. So now we talked about the way the government is structured and the way the procurement process works. And Marcus, you and I both were at an outreach conference today that NTG and TIC put on. And so we go to those things because we're looking for opportunities and we're trying to find work for our companies. Because if we don't find the work, then we can't keep the employees.
Right.
And I said earlier, if you got a business that's got 50 employees, and let's just say they 50 Black employees, that's 50 families. That is 200 miles that are dependent on you each and every week. In the Black community, you pay every week. In small businesses, you pay every week, and sometimes you make advances during the week. And so we understand that. So we were at the outreach center today trying to find opportunities for our companies, looking in Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, and Mississippi. Those states were represented there today. I wish I had seen more African-American business people there. Marcus.
Right.
But it was an opportunity to extend your coverage, extend your business footprint in areas that we traditionally are not in. So we're talking about the procurement process, and there's one final step I want to talk about, Marcus. There's this thing called state contract. Now, if you have a state contract was created by our government, by the legislature, that says that if your product has been reviewed and is on state contract and as we have agreed upon a price, that any political entity anywhere in the state can buy as much as they want of that product without calling anybody. For example, if you have a floor wax that's on state contract and you get all of the school superintendents to buy your floor wax, there is no bid required. There is no advertising required. You see, these procedures were put in place so that entities could get work to their constituents. Marcus, we have 89 Black school superintendents. They buying millions of dollars worth of floor wax. Do you think we have one Black company with floor wax on state contract price? The answer is not since Earl Washington. No. Do you see how simple that would be if they understood that the government put in place policies and procedures that allow you to get work to your people, but when you're not getting it to them? It's legal, it's required, it's desired. School superintendent said it saves me a lot of time if I can buy off state contract. And sometimes, Marcus, they'll say that if you can sell me your product less than the state contract price, I'll consider that. But we're not getting this work and opportunities to our business community, Marcus.
89 Black school superintendents. I mean, when you talk about Mecca, Black on Black, man, I tell you, the leadership is here. And this is why we saying, ladies and gentlemen, why the math is not mathing. 89 Black school superintendents, 5 African-American board of supervisors, a majority council and mayor. There's no telling how many Black mayors we have.
Over 300.
Over 300 Black mayors. And like I said, when you look at these percentages is something is not right.
The math
Ain't math.
ain't math. And so, guys, we're pleading with you, really. We understand that the job that you're doing is difficult, but you didn't get elected to go down there and retire to stay in a position from now until you are 85 years old. You are down there to deliver back to your constituents. And if you are an elected official in Jackson, your constituency is 85% African American. You got to put economic opportunities into that group.
And, I'm glad to hear you say that because I want everybody to know we are basically doing this show to plead with the leaders that if we just change the small things, how much difference we can make. And, I just want people to understand this show is not designed to bash anybody. I think this is our 5th show. And if you've looked at all of them, no one can say we've bashed anybody. We're not here to bash. We're not trying to point fingers and talk about folks or none of that. All we're saying, let's have some real conversations, talk about the real truth so we can create some real impact and solutions. That's it.
Marcus, I believe we ought to end the show right there with your comments. That's so profound.
Yes, sir.
We are trying to get you to assist in development and building our communities. We're not here hating on anybody. This is not a black or white show where we're talking about how bad white folk are. Now, I grew up in the South, so I know the history. So, but that's not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do, as Marcus said, is we're trying to elevate your consciousness of what is required and what you ought to be giving back to our communities. And you can't let these opportunities slip away. Because if you let them slip away, then there will be no need for African-American elected officials. There will be no value in African-American leadership. If you let this slip away, and we're talking about our people not voting now because of voter apathy, but what I said is they're not voting because it's called passive aggressiveness. They don't see anything in it for them, so they don't participate because they don't see our leadership is delivering to their constituents. If their granddaughter can't get a job because Marcus can't hire them, they don't see any value.
Our people do not see any passion in the leadership right now. We got to get passion back into these seats.
And then our folk will come out to the polls.
They will come in droves.
They will come in droves. And we will elect people, though, that understand why they are being sent there. Congressman Thompson says, did you bring anybody with you that I know? If you don't, then you can't come see me. Bring somebody with me that I know. Mayor Johnson said, consider these businesses. All we're saying is for the leadership to step up and say, consider these. And if you have businesses like Socrates, Garrett Enterprises, and Mac Construction Company that are not working, is some criminally wrong with that. To have equipment that's not being utilized in an African-American community is criminal, is immoral, and is criminal. When I saw Marcus buy, and I know I'm like a Baptist preacher, I thought we were closing, but I can't do it. When I saw Marcus purchase a pothole repair truck, I said, I've not seen one of those like that before. And then I see the truck sitting idle. Is something wrong with that picture?
when we got millions of potholes.
We got millions of potholes.
Paid $219,000 out to someone that was injured from a pothole. Do you know how many potholes can be done with $219,000?
And this man sitting there with a pothole repair truck, not a trailer.
Two of them.
Two of them.
Two of them, sir. Yes, sir. And they haven't done, other than demonstrations, they haven't done not one pothole in the city of Jackson. And to like I said, because I want people to know and understand, this is not about us. There's one other African-American company in the city with 2 pothole trucks. And that's very rare that African-American companies have the equipment to do stuff. You know, a lot of times, you know, we don't have the big equipment that's needed. We have to rent it until we're able to buy it. But you got 2 companies with 4 pothole trucks in this city that could do a whole lot of potholes.
Marcus, I've heard you say, and you and I have talked about it in the past, one day we're going to have a Black Business Parade. And we're going to put all of the equipment in the Black-owned trucks and
wrap around City Hall like bacon. I want to do it. I want to do it. And the other thing too, and I hope Dr. J listening, we're very serious about this Black Business Museum, because we need to educate not only the children, we need to educate the people in this city of the stories of the people, the struggles that folk have had over the years to keep businesses in this city. I think you all will find it very interesting of some of the sacrifice and success stories behind some of the businesses that have been in this city. And I thank God, because I've been blessed to really hear a lot of the stories that have happened. I'm on my daughter right now. She's got a lot of documentaries that she can do in this city.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time, but to those of you out there that understand what we're trying to accomplish, we need your support. We need you to subscribe. We need you to sponsor this show. We need advertisers. We need to get the message out. If you agree that this message is important and needs to be said, then we need your support. Marcus and I would appreciate that a great deal. We're giving our money, we're giving our time to try to elevate the entire Black business class as a whole. We think that's important enough for you to support. Marcus, any closing words?
It's been a good one. Like you said, I think we've gotten some very important stuff out tonight, and just want the listening audience and the entire city of Jackson, Hinds County to understand that we're just trying to create some positive movement here in the city, and we're trying to move this needle.
With that being said, y'all stay safe out there, and good evening.
Good evening.